Hey YouTube friends, and welcome to my video all about autism and Christmas. And this is from a person who used to push herself so hard at this time of the year and completely ignore her body that was absolutely screaming at her that I found myself in an emergency room. In the first part of this video, we're going to have a really important conversation about why Christmas time can just be so stressful and overwhelming for neurodivergent individuals like myself. And then in the second part of the video, we're going to flip the switch and we're going to talk about the 6 things that I'm now doing differently that means that I'm no longer surviving the Christmas period. In fact, I'm thoroughly enjoying it and I look forward to it every year. And at the end of that session, I'm going to talk about one bonus tip, a Christmas present that I've asked for from my family that is completely free. And it is making such a difference. In fact, I think I'm going to be asking for it for my birthday and Mother's Day as well, and any other opportunities that I have in between. And if we haven't met before, hey, I'm Mel. I'm autistic and I absolutely love Christmas. If you're neurodivergent like me and find Christmas a bit of a challenge, or if you have neurodivergent loved ones who also struggle with this time of the year, then I think this video is going to be for you. Before we get into my 6 tips about how I've completely redefined Christmas, let's have that important conversation about why this time of the year, this festive season, can just be so challenging for neurodivergent folks. There's just so much stuff getting thrown at us. It was really hard to narrow it down. So this is not a comprehensive list by any stretch of the imagination. Firstly, there's all of the sensory challenges and all of the additional things getting loaded into our executive functioning system that really struggles at the best of times. So sensory-wise, think about all the lights and the music and the different textures of food. I'm just trying to think of the social events, the extra people, and even just having to go to the shops or going about your day-to-day. Everything's just so much busier and so much noise and so much flashier. I saw a funny saying the other day, something about, I'm sorry, I absolutely can't concentrate. Your Christmas tree is just way too loud. And then, so not only there's all of this extra sensory stuff that's happening for us, but think about the executive functioning. So we've still got all of our day-to-day executive functioning stuff that we're needing to manage, which I don't know about the rest of you, but for me, often I struggle just with the day-to-day. But then on top of that, there's coordinating social events. There's thinking about who you need to buy Christmas gifts for, actually procuring the gifts. What about how busy shopping centres are at this time of the year? Will you even get a park at the shopping centre, and then you're having to navigate crowds? And what about if you're wanting essential services like doctors, banks, financial stuff, maybe insurance, any just of that normal day-to-day that you might happen to need over the Christmas period? Often they're just not even available, which for me, I know personally, adds that additional stress and disruption and completely throws my regular routine out of whack. And I think the second thing to talk about, if we're talking about the stress of Christmas, and that is the social events. Seriously, what is it with people needing to catch up with every single person that they know around this time of the year? It is completely overwhelming. I know for myself, I'll talk about it in the second part of the video, definitely, but over the last few years, I have been trying to do that differently, because it feels like from about the last week of November through to New Year's, we just have to cram so many social events in. There's your work events, and then maybe if you've got kids, their social events, their end of school events, catching up with extended family, catching up with good friends. It is crazy. And I don't know about you, but normally throughout the year, sometimes I love weeks where I don't have any social events on, but I usually only try and have 1 or 2 social events on per week. And if I do have 2 in 1 week, I make sure that I have a few days in between just to give myself some downtime. I've always called it decompressing after a social event. That was before I even knew that I was AuDHD. I always knew that I needed some downtime after any social event. But if you think about it, it is so busy in that, in that 4-week window, our social calendars can get so chaotic. We're often just not getting that downtime in between the social events, let alone all the normal stresses. So you've got the normal stresses of the social events. So think about, the masking and all, trying to follow the social etiquette and all the same things, the loud noises, the lights, trying to keep up with the conversations, navigating small talk, the social scripts, remembering, are your facial expressions doing the right thing? Are you smiling and nodding? Don't talk about your special interests. Make sure you're asking them about them. All of that, but you're getting it, on repeat, Groundhog Day, day after day after day, and you're having to try and keep this mask up and not having any downtime in between. I know so many neurotypical people that struggle at this time of the year with all of the social events, let alone when you have all of that extra sensory and neurodivergent things that are going on for us. The third thing that I want to talk about before we flip the switch and go on to the 6 changes that I've made is gift giving. It's a toss up for me between the busyness of the shop and all of the social events and gift giving. Firstly, with the gift giving is just like the social events, that societal expectation that we need to give every single person that we know a gift at this time of the year. I mean, as adults, it's not about Santa anymore. So where does this feeling come from that we really need to be giving everyone gifts? Managing that list of who I'm getting presents for, and then navigating those busy shops, or buying online and waiting for the packages to come, and then it's wrapping the gifts, and then it's the logistics of getting the gift to the person. And does that mean another social catch up on your already overloaded December calendar? It's just a lot. It is so much, not to mention how much Christmas can hurt our wallets as well. Christmas, buying gifts, even if they're small gifts for people, for multiple people, really can add up. So the whole idea around gift giving just adds another layer of stress for us neurodivergent folk at Christmas time. And then the other side of gift giving, which I think stresses me out the most, because I actually have multiple memories from childhood of this that stick with me, and I cannot get rid of them. And that's having to open gifts in front of people. Seriously, I would be happiest if no one got me a gift at Christmas time, because just the pressure of having to open gifts in front of people and have the right reaction, because I am so grateful if someone goes to the effort of buying me a present, even if I already own the gift, because doesn't that mean that they just know me really well and they've got me something that I really love? But having a proper response on your face, so opening the gift while someone's watching you, and then you need that processing time. So we often take longer to process. You've got to process, what the gift is, and then put the appropriate response across your face, which I struggle with at the best of times. So I've got a really vivid memory of my beautiful mother-in-law gave me this pen. I mean, I'm a science nerd from way back, and when I first started university, she got me this beautiful Parker pen, and it was probably one of the most kindest presents that someone had ever given me, because I just started university and I thought, what a beautiful thing for me to take through university with me. And so when I opened it, I was processing this, thinking, this is amazing. This was so thoughtful. But the look on my face, because I was processing how amazing this gift was, did not look happy or thoughtful at all. And my poor mother-in-law thought that I didn't like it. And I have multiple other examples, but that's probably the one that sticks with me the most, because it was just such a thoughtful gift and such a good gift for me. It was practical, and it was to do with something that I loved, science. Amazing. What a perfect present. Give someone who's neurodivergent a practical present that's relevant to one of their special interests, and you've got a winner. So to counteract that, I guess these days, I feel like sometimes I go over the top with my reaction, and then that can also come across as ingenuine. If someone gives me a gift these days, I not only go, oh wow, thank you, I love it, but I'll go into every single reason as to why I love that gift. Receiving gifts is one of the most uncomfortable things for me. So whether it's Christmas or my birthday, I often say to people, please do not buy me a gift. If you need to get me something, donate it to a charity. Please do not purchase anything for me. And I know I'm not alone in this. I've heard a number of neurodivergent people say exactly the same thing. And how uncomfortable is it, by the way, if it's not just the one person, the gift giver, watching you? How about when people want to sit around and a group of people are watching you open a gift and all eyes are on you? Oh my goodness, that's enough to make me start physically sweating. Goodness, for someone who started this video saying just how much she loves Christmas, that really did feel like a bit of a rant. But I think it's a conversation that we needed to have, because I think it's really important for people to understand just how stressful this time of the year can be, and why for neurodivergent folk, but also just how long it can take us to actually recover from the season once it's over as well. In the second part of this video, let's completely switch gears and talk about the good stuff. I've been so excited to talk to you about this. As I mentioned in the opening, when I was putting this video together, I managed to narrow it down to 6 things that I'm doing differently now post that emergency room visit a few years ago, from pushing myself way too hard. But then when I looked deeper at the 6 things, I realized there was something that linked them all together. And that was a concept that I came across by accident a few years ago called Hygge, and it's spelled Hygge. And I must give you a bit of a warning here, because my friends and I call it Huggy, because we had trouble pronouncing Hygge. But also, I think if you're doing Huggy, it feels like you're getting a big hug. Like Huggy makes you feel like you're having a hug. So if I slip up and I say Huggy instead of Hygge, please know that I'm talking about the same thing. A few years ago, I discovered Hygge at exactly the right time. So when I was first transitioning over to this liquid-only diet, it was a pretty rough time. Living on a liquid-only diet, it's really easy to lose weight. And so I was having to manage my daily activities with the amount of liquid I could or couldn't consume. And that meant a lot of couch time. And for a busy brain, Netflix gets boring pretty quickly. So that was when I discovered my love for YouTube and microlearning. I did lots of YouTubing, Googling and reading books. And I came across this term called Hygge. Hygge has origins in Denmark and also Norway, according to the research. The thing that I absolutely loved about Hygge is it's not just about the decor or the physical things. It's really a mindset and a really simple way of living where you appreciate the small things. And I absolutely fell in love with it. Oh, I've just got to get this book. I have 2 books that live next to my bed full time because they're just my absolute favorite. One of them is a plant book, of course, you probably could have guessed, but the other one is this one. And I've just learned so much from this little book. You can see I've got heaps of notes there. And so I thought during this Christmas video, this was the perfect time to share this with you because all of the 6 tips that I'm going to talk to you about are Hygge style. And I don't even know if that's a word. Is that a word? I'm not sure. But all of my 6 tips are definitely Hygge style. Even though I've loved the season, I've just pushed my body to the limit year after year. And at the end of it, I'm just completely exhausted. And this little book is helping me do absolutely the opposite. Already this year, I'm feeling so much different. Even better than I did last year, and the previous year better than the last year. So every year I'm just putting more and more of these things into practice and just getting better and better at it. And I can already tell you from the way that my body's feeling today, I'm not going to have to take a month or so to get over this season this year, which is just wonderful. My first tip in the list of 6 is to make a joyful should list, which is basically just a different way of saying to prioritize what's important to you. So basically, I love spreadsheets. I'm a spreadsheet girl. Spreadsheets all the way. I have spreadsheets for everything, and Christmas is absolutely no exception. So I wrote down all of the shoulds, all of the must-dos that you feel that society says you must do at Christmas time. And then I took the time to work out, well, actually, what's important to me? So what's worth me spending my energy on that brings me joy in return? So even though, yes, it is using some of my energy, I'm getting so much more back in return. And I was able to cut so many things out of my list from doing that. But the most important thing, and the thing that I still find really, really hard, is then working out, well, hang on, if something's not on that list, I need to learn to say no to it. And that's tough. That's something that I haven't nailed yet, but I am getting a lot better. So over the last week, I've actually said no to 2 different social events to make sure that I've got those gaps in between the handful that I did actually choose to attend this week. If anyone has any tips about saying no and not feeling guilty about saying no, please leave them in the comments below because I very much have my training wheels on here. Even as little as 2 years ago, I would have said yes to both of those 2 events as well. I'll just give you an idea of just a few of the things that make it onto my joyful should list. The first one is definitely cheesy Christmas movies. Oh my goodness. There is something just so lovely about curling up at nighttime in front of the Christmas tree with a cup of chai, Christmas lights on, my plants all around me. I've got about 5 or 6 movies. I'll leave the list up here for you that I just watch absolutely every year. And I've heard it said so many times about AuDHDers. We just love the predictability and the familiarity that I always struggle with that word, familiarity of movies that we know. You know the characters, you know what's going to happen, you know the ending. Oh, it's just so nice. So that is a definite. And the exciting thing is my boys are teenagers now, so they don't watch many Christmas movies with me, but Christmas Eve tonight, we'll definitely sit down and watch a good old cheesy Christmas movie together. And just out of interest, I don't know about you, I'd love to hear what your favorite Christmas movies are. Although I watch Love Actually, so people say to me, you must Love Actually because you wear Christmas shirts every day in December and you love cheesy Christmas movies. So Love Actually, and you know what? I watch it every about 5 years or so, but it's not in my top 10. On my joyful should list is Christmas cards. And I know people say they're redundant, they're old school, they're redundant, they take time, no one does Christmas cards anymore, but I've been doing Christmas cards. My eldest son is 15 and I've been doing cards for longer than that. So I always do photo cards, and I've been sending photo cards of our dogs and our pets for more than 15 years. My friends and family seem to really appreciate them. They do ask me at this point of the year, Mel, are you doing cards again? And a lot of them say, oh, we love getting your cards, and we've kept every single one of them. We've got them up on the fridge. And I just think it's a really nice way to check in with people. So often once the cards have gone out, I always get a lovely text message from people or a Facebook message from people just to say, hey, I've got your card, and just a bit of a check-in with no expectation of a face-to-face social catch-up. But it's just a really nice way to connect with close friends and family every year, and neighbours as well. I love giving cards to our close neighbours as well. I've got a lot on my joyful should list, but the final one I wanted to share with you is something we did last night. So we normally do it very close to Christmas. One of the nights just before Christmas is we do a recce throughout December to work out all of the best houses and unit blocks that do Christmas lights. And well, this year we've done it on the 23rd. We go to Baskin and Robbins, or we go to McDonald's and get whatever the latest Sunday is. The boys can get whatever they want, and we drive around and we go past all of the best Christmas lights, and we crank the Christmas carols at lunch. But we sing those Christmas songs in the car as loud as we want, looking at all the Christmas lights. And there's just something really lovely. And as I said, my boys are teenagers and they still come along with me, which I just think, and they still say, Mum, when are we going to look at the Christmas lights? So I hope they'll keep doing it with me for the next few years at least anyway, and as they get older. So number 2 is definitely simplification and delegation. Feedback that I used to get regularly at work was, Mel is not very good at delegating. She tries to do absolutely everything herself. And that was one of the reasons that I ended up in emergency from overdoing it, because I was like, I'm fine, I've totally got this. I can keep doing all of the things that I used to be able to do when I could still eat solid food. And my body had other ideas. So now it's not easy, but I've learned to delegate. So for example, at Christmas lunch, we've always hosted up to about 15 people, full 3-course, sit down, cook lunch. Why we wanted to do full cooked meals in Southeast Queensland, that's for a whole other video. But catering for 15 people, and that was a lot. So what we do, and it's actually worked out to be a real positive, because it now makes people feel more involved in Christmas. Whoever's coming along to Christmas, I just say to them, please make me your favorite thing, that that your signature dish that says Christmas to you. And so my sister, for example, she's the trifle queen, so she always makes beautiful desserts, and my boys get so excited when their auntie's coming for Christmas, because they just know the dessert's going to be amazing. And my mum, she does this layered dip, like a chips and dip sort of nibbly thing, but this amazing layered Mexican dip. Same thing. The boys are just stoked when grandma's coming along. And it's lovely, because we've worked out that people don't mind bringing things along, and actually they feel included in the day. And some of the stories, some of the memories and some of the stories we have from the day are about those foods that people have brought along with them. And so that's turned out to be a really nice tradition from something that I would never have thought to do a few years earlier. So that's the delegation part. The simplification a bit, this is just one example in many that I have done. My Christmas cards, for example, I'm going to keep doing them year after year. I don't know about you, but writing for me, particularly for long periods, has always made me physically sweat. So writing out the addresses of all those Christmas cards, I've actually found it challenging. So a few years ago, I went to Officeworks and I found the brand Avery labels. You get 14 labels per sheet. They're little, white address labels, and Avery on their website have actually got Christmas templates that even have like a little Rudolph on them. You can save the templates so they're available the next year. Spreadsheet person here, I've got all of friends and family's addresses, and I just copy and paste onto the template every year. It prints the labels out for me, and then I just stick them on to the envelope. It probably takes me about a quarter of the time than what it used to do those Christmas cards. And I was a bit worried that people might think it's not as personal because I'm not actually writing on the cards. But actually people have been commenting, wow, Mel, we love your cards. They look so professional when they come. They just look lovely. So people don't seem to mind that I'm not handwriting, and it's taken me a lot less time, and they're actually commenting about how nice it looks. So it's a win-win as well. And that's just one or two, the delegation of the Christmas lunches and the simplification of the Christmas cards. But there are just so many other examples. And I'm hoping as I talk, you might be able to think of ways you could do the same for your joyful Christmas should list. Oh, I just checked my notes and I almost forgot to say, the other thing that I've done, which we would never do before, is our local IGA. So our local supermarket actually does platters, like Christmas platters, cheese and bickies platters and fruit platters. They do hot chickens on Christmas Day, and this year they've even done prawns. So I've just ordered all of those extra things that we pick up tomorrow on Christmas Day. And so there's no cooking for me, because one of our other guests is bringing a ham along, and I'm getting hot roast chickens from the IGA. That's something that we would never have done a few years ago. We cooked everything from scratch. We made all the platters ourselves, and now I just put in an order at the start of December with the IGA. And at lunchtime tomorrow on Christmas Day, I just drive down. It's 5 minutes from our house, and I pick up all the goodies to go in amongst all the wonderful other things that our guests are bringing along. It's just wow. Yeah, wow. Christmas Day is just so different than what it used to be. Number 3, and probably from the first part of this video you would have guessed, is about gift giving. So simplifying gift giving, because I think this is probably one of my biggest bugbears, that expectation to buy gifts for absolutely everyone. So also, yes, I have this spreadsheet and I have a list of people that I buy gifts for. And so the environmental scientist in me is strong. I've often wondered, when you're just getting those last minute presents for people, or just those small gifts for people, how many of those gifts actually that people want or need or are going to use, and that potentially end up eventually in landfill. And that just makes me feel physically sick. I know that's a bit of a downer. I'm so sorry. I won't talk too much about it. Whenever I give someone something, it's something that I always think. So I've tried to not only really consider who on my list I actually want to give gifts to, but also, do I need to give them a physical item? So for example, can I give them a gift voucher or an experience like a massage or a manicure or a pedicure? Oh, for example, it's Mother's Day, not Christmas, but I get my mum a subscription every year to Better Homes and Gardens magazine. And she just loves that because once a month, it's a great excuse to sit down, also with a cup of tea. She loves tea like I do, amongst her plants, also like me, and just take some time out and read her magazine. And she said she looks forward to it arriving every month. And so that spreads the gift out through the month as well. It's also logistics. For Mother's Day, I just print out the receipt for her and I put it in her card. No physical present necessary. A magazine just arrives for her every month in the mail. So that I often use magazine subscriptions for people who I know that will actually read the magazines. Once again, we're not wanting them to end up in landfill if they're not going to get read. And bless my mum, she gives her both her books that she's finished reading and her magazines away so that they, other people get to use them as well. And the other thing that I've done to simplify, and I'm really fortunate, so this mightn't work for everyone, but all of my nieces and nephews are now teenagers. So I just give them cash instead of buying gifts. And I've got these little cardboard boxes that come from Kmart in a pack of 10. They're the ones, they're collapsible, but then you pop them up and I just put twine around it and put the cash inside and then hook a candy cane on it. My teenage nieces and nephews are always stoked with money because then they can buy something that they want with it. Or two of them are saving up for cars or holidays, or the younger kids, maybe some gaming equipment. Let me just think, that's 5 or 6 additional gifts that are off my list that I don't have to buy. And I know that I'm giving them money towards something that they actually want. So that's another thing to think about, particularly for teenagers. I think the best simplification for me that has made the biggest difference, and it crossed 10 people off my list straight away. So when I first started thinking about this, simplifying my Christmas list, I was like, wow, I'm so overwhelmed with buying gifts. And I thought, you know what, if I can't ask these girls, who can I ask? So I've got these beautiful friends. There's 4 of us that talk on WhatsApp every day. We went to high school together, so we've been friends for a long time. And when I think back to how long, it makes me feel very old. So I actually said to them, hey guys, I've really been thinking about this present thing, and it's a lot because between all of us, by the time we bought each other a gift and then their partners, it was about 10 people that we were buying gifts for every year. So I said to them, hey guys, what do you think about if we just stop buying each other presents and then we just do something fun every year together, so it's something to look forward to? And what we landed on was paint and sip. I'm not sure if you got it in other countries, not just in Australia, but paint and sip is basically, there's an instructor up the front and they take you through. So we do it in December, so it's always a fun Christmas painting. But they take you through a really easy painting, and you can bring food and drink along. So my friends bring cheese and bicky nibbles and glasses of wine, and they crank up the Christmas carols while you do this festive painting. And our favourite painting that we did a few years ago, we've done quite a few, but the favourite, hands down, always is Frosty. And I'll show you a picture of Frosty in the B-roll. He featured in my my Christmas plant tour video last week. And what I love about paint and sip is it's something that we look forward to absolutely every year. It's a great excuse to catch up. But also, when our Frosties go up, I always take a picture of Frosty because I'm the Christmas tragic out of the group. So my decorations always go up first. So I take a photo of Frosty and go, hey ladies, Frosty's up, how's your Frosty going? And we all send each other photos of our Frosties and how we've decorated them for the year. So that's just a really lovely tradition, instead of rushing around and buying 10 presents for people that they don't necessarily. My next tip is probably my favorite part of Christmas, although there's so many favorite parts about Christmas, but that's simplifying the decorations and giving yourself permission to not quite get it right, and that it doesn't have to look Insta or Pinterest worthy in any way. So for example, our Christmas decorations are a combination. What did I call it in my plant tour video? I think I called it Planty Eclectic Boho. I've got so many plants. I just logistically cannot move them all around at Christmas time to fit my decorations in. So over the years, I've just sort of out of necessity developed my style of leaving my plants where they are and decorating my plants, like decorating the pots or putting some twinkle lights through the larger plants. And then I do lots of I use pine cones and dried orange and cinnamon sticks. Can't get my words out. Burlap and jute material around my plants and Christmas twine. Did I say dried oranges? Yeah, cinnamon sticks. Seeds and nut pods that I've collected. I keep it really natural, so very much keeping my plants as the focal point. And the first year that my family got home and went, Mel, this doesn't feel Christmassy. Well, actually, I felt terrible because the look on their faces, because I love Christmas. I thought I'd done such a good job. But anyway, so ours is a bit of eclectic mix. They love big and plastic and bold and flashy, and we've got this like 1.8 meter tree in our lounge room that is fiber optic, and it's seriously like having a disco at night time, and my family just absolutely love it. So now we do a combo of those two styles, and it feels like Christmas for everyone. So everyone gets a bit of what they love at Christmas time. And the other cool thing that I did is normally I'm really strict on myself because I'm such a Christmas tragic. It's like, you've got to decorate on the day. If you can't decorate on the day and it's not all done in the day, that's not okay. And for the first time this year, I decorated over, I want to say 3 or 4 days. Yeah, probably about 3 or 4 days. I just did a little bit each day instead of putting the pressure on myself to make it perfect on the first day. And then I'd only just finished and I was actually filming my plant tour video. And the postie arrived with 2 more plants that I'd ordered my Christmas presents to me, 2 begonias, which by the way are absolutely beautiful. And one of them in particular is very Christmassy colours. I don't know if you know begonias. I had splashes of reds and pinks and silvers, and I was just like, and green. I thought that needs to go on our Christmas display. So I actually moved one of my plants and put the begonia into the Christmas display at our front entry. And that never would have happened. Normally, as I said, I'd put so much pressure on myself to get it all in a day, and then it doesn't change. It must stay the same all Christmas. And so that was massive for me to go, it's okay to do it over a few days, and it's also okay if you're not happy with it to move it around. That's not something that I've given myself permission to do before. And even I've got every year I have to move my snake plant out of the way. It's massive, it's taller than me, or probably as tall as me because I have to reach up to touch its leaves. And I have to move it every year to fit the Christmas tree in. And so I've moved it to the other side of the TV cabinet. And I tried to decorate it for Christmas, but I couldn't get it quite right. I'm actually thinking about getting some of those little Santa hats to put on it that I've seen. But yeah, it's just not quite right. And normally that would really frustrate me. And I'd rush around like a crazy person trying to get to the shops and to do something to make it perfect. But I haven't this year. I've just left it. It's not perfect. It's got some lights on it. I've got an idea of how I'll improve it for next year. But I've just left it, which for a recovering perfectionist, I'm sure many autistic people can relate to. That's a really big thing. I'm pretty proud of myself there. I think this little book is definitely rubbing off on me. So next on our list is making time for your special interests. So like I talked about earlier in the video, it's really important if you're able to say no to some of those social events and give yourself some downtime, making sure in that downtime that you give yourself time to do your special interests. So for me at Christmas time, it's pretty easy because I've decorated with my plants. So my plants are absolutely all around us. I gift plants. I use plants as gifts. I love going to a local nursery because it's got beautiful homewares, but also plant gifts. But also I got to do a really cool thing this week. One of my beautiful neighbours and friends was away on holidays and she had me fish sitting. And on her way out the door, she said, "Hey Mel, I've been really busy lately. My plants could really do with some TLC. So if you don't mind and you've got time," and I was like, "Don't mind. This is amazing." I bundled up all of her plants. I put them in my car and I brought them back here for a full spa day. So I had them sitting in our back area in my favorite planting spot that gets beautiful filtered light for about a week because they were away for about 2 weeks. And then I just spent one afternoon, I trimmed off all the yellow leaves and repotted the ones that needed to be repotted. Gave the hydro plant containers a really good clean, and it was a really nice feeling. And I did that on about the 20th of December, and Mel a few years ago would not have had the time to do that. It was a really nice thing to be able to do for someone. There's just something about being with my plants that brings me calm. And my husband often jokes, he's like, "You just spend your life carrying plants around the house." And I know that's for all of us, no matter what that special interest is, it helps us to focus our brain and it brings us back into the moment. Me spending time with my plants feels like I've often hit a reset button. Oh, and a bonus tip, if you ever do want to give a neurodivergent person a gift, if you base it around their special interest, so if you make it something useful, something that they can use, and you base it around their special interest, you absolutely have a winner. I'm absolutely not a hugger, but if someone gives me a useful, practical, planty present, oh my goodness, give me a plant present, you're getting a hug absolutely every time. And the final one before we talk about the best Christmas present I've asked for ever is definitely saying no to that Christmas catch-up frenzy. Wow, our calendars can be absolutely chaotic at this time of the year, and particularly now with my AuDHD diagnosis on board, I am getting better and better at saying no to social events, but it's definitely not easy, and I still find it hard to say no to those events. But I just know how much better I feel when I do say no. One of the things that I said no to this week was actually a catch up at my brother-in-law's. He wasn't sure if it was going to happen, and he ended up only giving us a very short amount of notice. So when I say short, I mean 5 hours, right? Which is, that's not ideal for someone with autism at all. I was in the middle of doing my neighbour's plants, and it did take me a few hours to do her plants. And I actually said to my husband is so lovely, I actually said to him, would it be okay if I don't go? I really would like to finish our friend's plants, and also I can't eat anyway. We were going around for Chinese and for a bit of a birthday celebration, and I said, you know what, I can't really eat anyway, and no one's going to really notice if I'm not there. Can I just stay and do the plants? So that was really lovely to get to stay home and do planty things. And then I think I took my dog for a walk. And then I might have even recorded one of my videos. I was really proud of myself for saying no. And I think that's where it comes back to my work rule. So even before, well and truly, because remember, I've only been diagnosed, my 12-month anniversary, actually right now is 12 months since I've been diagnosed. But long before that, I realized that I always called it decompressing, even before I knew. And I called it being on at social events. I'd say to people, I always, after being on for that many hours, I need time to decompress. And you could see people not really understanding what I was talking about. So for work, I had a 50-50 rule. So I worked out that if I said yes to 50% of the invitations, because there were just, I don't know about you, but my workplace, there were so many social invitations, and it was exhausting, particularly when you'd worked a long day and then they wanted you to go out to dinner afterwards or to an event afterwards. So I worked out that if I said yes to 50% of them, it was enough that they didn't think I was antisocial, but it was also, they didn't expect me. There was no expectation, like, come on, Mel, you always come, and that was a really good balance. And so I guess I'm very conscious of that with my friends and family as well. I personally like to make sure I'm not going to be constantly saying no to that person, and then I still go along, but do it in a way that works for me. And so the social events that I do say yes to, I can go along and enjoy, because I haven't completely exhausted myself, and I know that I've got downtime to look forward to after the event. I didn't know how else to talk about that bit, but I thought maybe if I share my story, you can think about ways that you can do that for yourself as well. Are there some events that are in your calendar at this time of the year that you maybe could say no to? Is that 50-50 rule helpful? Are you able to give yourself some downtime in between? I'd love to hear from you, to hear how you manage those social expectations. Okay, so the bonus. So the absolute best Christmas present that I've ever asked for ever, that I'm totally asking for Mother's Day and my birthday and anything else in between, it's completely free. And that's, I do not have to decide what's for dinner for the entire month of December. It has been the best thing ever. When I was doing the groceries the other week, there was a magnetic board Monday to Sunday. It came with a whiteboard pen, $5. It's been great. I put that up on the fridge, and I said to my family, I don't want to make a decision about dinner for the entire month of December. I'm happy to cook. I'm happy to procure. I'm happy to get takeaway, whatever. I don't want to have to decide what you guys eat. So Sunday nights, my husband and my two boys sit down and they work out together the menu for the entire week. And it's actually been the boys who have been writing it up on the fridge, which I actually found really lovely. Teenage boys are actually involved in what's going to be for dinner, because they are definitely the main culprits when it comes to the mum what's for dinner question. That can often start around lunchtime. So even though you're thinking, Mel, that doesn't sound like a very good Christmas present at all, but when you're neurodivergent and you've already got an executive functioning system that has a bit of a glitch, that gets overwhelmed really easily, I like to call it, my personal assistant goes on very extended coffee breaks. In fact, I'm sure that she goes overseas often. When my sons ask me what's for dinner at lunchtime, there is so much that goes into planning. So it's thinking, okay, what are everyone's dietary requirements? What do they actually need? Have I got the ingredients in the fridge and pantry? and then there's the preparation time, the thinking and the organizing and the logistics that goes into planning that meal. By the time I actually get to cooking the meal at nighttime, I am absolutely exhausted, because finding a meal in this house that everybody loves and suits their dietary requirements, it is a headache. And then coming up with another idea the following night, and then the following night, it's a nightmare. And so not having to think about that this month has been absolutely massive for me. And for any neurodivergent folks out there who also struggle with dinner time like I do, absolutely steal the idea, go for it. It is making such a difference for me. We're just making so many decisions at Christmas time. There's so many things that come at us in December, and it's really nice to have one less decision to make every day. And so with a little help from Denmark and Norway and this little book, that's how I started making Christmas so much more friendly for an AuDHDer like myself. And as I've mentioned, absolutely not perfect, still a work in progress. I am getting better and better the more that I practice. And as a recovering perfectionist, I still don't know when I'm going to feel guilty for saying no to things, but I'm learning and I'm getting better. And I can already feel that this Christmas is not going to be one that's going to take me weeks and weeks and even months to recover from. And just a little reminder, if you look up Hygge after this video, you're going to see lots and lots of things with regard to winter and Christmas, but it's relevant 365 days of the year. It's definitely a mindset and a really lovely way of living that is relative all year round. You don't have to wait for winter and Christmas. Okay, so now it's your turn. I would absolutely love to hear from you. What are those things that you do every year for Christmas that just screams Christmas to you and makes you so happy? And also, I would love to hear, as I've been talking, have you had any thoughts about any of the shoulds this year that you might be able to say no to? Thank you so much for making it this far through the video with me. I hope this video was super helpful and has given you heaps of ideas and tips and tricks on ways that you can make Christmas more user-friendly for you and your family. And until my next video, take care and remember, you've totally got this.